Hello, Smart Manufacturing Week 2026 is in full swing, and I'm joined on the Manufacturer Media Studio by Hasiba Nawaz from Balmoral Tanks. Hello, Hasiba, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. Excited to be here.
And how are you enjoying the show so far?
It's great. You get to meet so many different people, learning all different technologies that are about. Yeah, overall great.
Super. So to kick us off then, can you tell us a little bit about what you do at Balmoral Tanks and specifically how you first got into engineering?
Right, so I work at Balmoral Tanks as a junior systems development engineer. So my job role basically consists of developing automated configurators for the design team to use. These systems can produce endless configurations of storage tanks, not military tanks. But that's pretty much what I do on a day-to-day basis, standardise engineering rules, translate that into code, and then basically produce a easy user interface for design engineers to use. If you really look at it, my journey into engineering began around about the age of 9. So I got the opportunity to help my dad build our family home. So at the age of 9, I was looking at architectural drawings and operating mini diggers. So that's kind of where I sort of first got introduced to engineering. But the thing is, I didn't understand what engineering even meant. For me, it was just more the freedom to just do whatever I wanted, and I enjoyed that. And it wasn't until I actually came to GCSEs and got introduced to product design and got more into the CAD side of it. And then from there it was the choice of, do I follow the traditional route of going into university and then getting a job, or do I do an apprenticeship or a T-level? And I did 3 hours of an A-level test a week and decided this isn't for me. I couldn't do it, so I quit on the spot. And then I got introduced to apprenticeships at a career fair, and that's when I got the idea of I could actually do a job relevant to CAD and actually build something, so real world problems, if you get what I mean. So yeah, that's sort of my journey into engineering.
So obviously you went through the apprenticeship route as opposed to the university route. Can you sort of maybe shed a light on maybe the differences in those two pathways into a career in manufacturing, and maybe what potentially the pros and the cons of each one are?
The traditional route of university is you do your A-levels, go on to university and then get a job. If you look at that time frame though, you're looking at a couple of years before you actually get into industry. But the thing with university is majority of it's theory. And for me, theory doesn't work for me, it has to be practical, it's learn on the job for me. So that's where where the apprenticeship route comes in. So by doing an apprenticeship, it's you combine both practical with theory, if you get what I mean.
Yep.
And then from there you can basically apply it straight away, just depending on how quick you learn at that point. They're sort of the main two differences when I look at university versus apprenticeships. And it's also, with an apprenticeship, it's not just the experience, it's also your transferable skills, like people skills, your understanding of engineering, although it might just be limited to what the industry you work in, but you can sort of expand that over time depending on different sectors you work in. So that's how I look at apprenticeships versus university.
Sure. And we talk about quite often about how manufacturing has an aging workforce, but from your perspective, what would you say you've learned from some of your older, more experienced colleagues, would you say?
For me, it's more the mindset and the way of thinking.
Yeah.
If you understand. For me, I've always looked at it's either when you try something, you've always got to succeed. That's the initial mindset I had. But as soon as I got into the engineering workplace, it was the case of you're developing a new system, you will fail. Failure is part of the learning journey, but each time you fail, you will learn something, and eventually it will lead on to success. So for me, it was adopting the mindset that the older generation had, although they were technically a bit less advanced, but you can sort of adapt. But yeah, it's the mindset is the main thing.
Yeah, I think you might have alluded to it there, but we also talk about reverse mentoring, right? So what would you say that, in terms of passing knowledge the other way, what have you brought, do you think, to the more experienced members of your team?
It'd be more their teaching methods and the systems they have in place to teach other people. For example, onboarding. When you start learning a new system, you can easily pick out faults that the current system has, And what you're able to do is teach to the people that have made that system is that maybe start incorporating these different steps, add more images into your training documents so it's easy for the person to understand. But you can also give ideas as to how to improve the system. So it basically reduces the time it takes for you to understand the system.
Okay. And what would be the one old school manufacturing, mindset or habit that you would like to change if you could?
That engineering is just for males. That's the main thing for me. I look at engineering and I think it's for all. It's equal for all, regardless if you're male, female. It doesn't matter. I think it's about making that space for females so they can actually get into the sector. Majority of the times I've sat in rooms and it's me and 20 men. If you understand what I mean. It's like I've not got a female ally with me. It'd be nice to have another female in the room, but for me, the main thing I look at is we need more females in the sector.
Yeah. And do you think the industry does enough to support young women and young people in general into the sector, or do you think there's a fundamental piece that's missing at the moment?
I'll be honest. When I look at the way that young people currently are, you need to understand it's a completely different generation. So the way in which you spread engineering or how engineering is you need to access the different platforms which youngsters nowadays use. Like they're not going to go and look in yellow pages to try to find an apprenticeship. It's about getting on the platforms like TikTok, social media, that kind of thing. I think that's one way of getting youngsters into engineering. And there's also the offering work experience. It's like, imagine if you went to try a new ice cream flavour. You'd first have a sample, wouldn't you? You wouldn't just buy the full thing. It's the same thing with apprenticeships. Offer the work experience so they know what they're getting, because majority of the times they'll offer an apprenticeship to someone. They'll think, oh, I'm earning money here, it's fine. They'll get a year into it and then they'll realise that, you know what, apprenticeship is not for me. And then that sort of puts that company off employing employing apprentices. So that's why I think it's really important you offer work experience to new people, to youngsters.
I guess if you could turn the clock back, I guess thinking about advice for any other young people out there, if you could turn the clock back to, say you were to 16 years old, what would be the one piece of advice you'd give your younger self, do you think?
It's follow what you want. In the simplest of terms, it's choose what you want. At the end of the day, no one else is going to be sat in that office with you apart from yourself and your thoughts, which is why I believe follow your passion, do what makes you happy. If following the university route makes you happy, then go for it. Regardless, this doesn't link back to apprenticeships, it's more of what you want. There will be people who try to put you off. Well, with my instance, it was every time I brought up the idea of an apprenticeship doing GCSEs, everyone said to me, like, you're making a mistake, you've got potential. And they're like, no, you're not understanding that these are the benefits.
Yeah.
So that's why I say follow your passion, do what makes you happy.
And for any other manufacturers who are here this week who want to attract more young people into their business, which I'm guessing will probably be everybody, what would be the one piece of advice that you would give them to succeed in that endeavour, do you think?
It'd be adapt to the younger generation. Remove that sort of older generation, not stereotype, but the idea behind it. Try to adapt to them. First, offer work experience. That would be the first, and then have a structured work experience plan for them, and then from there show the different potential routes they can do to get into the company. For me, it's just show a plan, have it structured. So it's easier for sort of 16-year-olds straight out of GCSEs to understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. And more generally about the show, about this week, why have you come along this week, and what are you kind of hoping to get out of the show?
Initially, it was the webinars and conferences that you have on. The idea of AI and how can we actually incorporate that into our systems. AI is pretty new nowadays, but it's a case of actually understanding it. Not just saying, I want to use AI. It's how do we use AI into our systems? That's sort of the main thing for me was learning different systems that are out there.
Hasiba, thank you very much for joining us on the studio, and enjoy the rest of the show.
Yeah, thank you.